Today's podcast contains spoilers about the movie Raya and the Last Dragon from 2021. You have been warned. Hello guys and gals, welcome back to another podcast. Today's review is based on the movie Raya and the Last Dragon, and this has been a movie that's been out for nearly 2 years. The main reason I wanted to talk about today, this movie, just because this movie, as I was told and I heard, might not be accurate, but this movie was made all at home, which is quite surprising, especially since most of us thinking you're making a Disney movie, it has to be in studio, you have to have people there, you have to make sure the sound is right, and this surprised me most. It wasn't anything too much about the movie that I could relate to in my real life, but it was definitely in part of what I'd like to see the world as in the near future or whenever, and this will not happen overnight, very similar to how COVID cannot be cured overnight either, but it's a world where we're all divided and we're brought together by a gem. I'm Christian, so I believe the gem is Jesus Christ, but some others might think otherwise, that this gem is brought, in the movie, for dragons, but is brought when people decide to look past their differences and realize that we're all almost the same. Not quite the same, but we're all human. You know, we all feel the same way sometimes. And even though we cannot always fully understand how other people feel, we can definitely try. And I guess that's all we can really do. That's what Raya and the Last Dragon really taught me, was that in a world full of discord, chaos, and bad people, is that there's always good people. You know, it's hard to see them, but it's definitely not impossible to see good people, especially since good and bad live in each one of us, you know. Yeah, that's mainly what I wanted to say about this movie. For those who didn't watch the movie, that's precisely actually why I don't specify much about it, but I suggest you go watch it now, and then come back later and listen to this podcast, you know. Today's a little bit more different. I have one of my other friends actually editing this video, so I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go. As you guys may well know, my first editor, who is my sister, is in school at the moment, and she is quite busy at the moment because she's in her last year, which is super duper cool, but at the same time super duper grueling. So I am definitely gonna give her that chance to be like, okay, I can't do it, especially since her project is very, very important for her to graduate, and I'm quite excited if she decides, or if she is able to graduate in the next couple months. My friend here, who I'm not going to I'm not going to reveal any private stuff, but he is from, yeah, no, I'm not gonna reveal that. It's kind of funny, but yeah, he is a super cool guy, and honestly, his editing skills, I was told, was really, really good. This is the first one I've had him edit, and I don't even know if he's going to put this part in, but if he does, cool for you. But yeah, it's nice to expand my horizons to some degree, just because, yes, these podcasts are nice about talking my point of view on different things that I enjoy, but it's also a chance for people to tell me, okay, you might want to change this, you might want to change that. If I choose to change it based on your comments and whatnot, I will, but I do have my own style of doing things, and so listening to everybody's comments and everybody's, criticism on me is definitely like trying to hit two stones with with another stone, you know? It's trying to, if someone tells me, you have to speak louder, it's like, oh, you speak too loud. And it's like, that's not the problem of whether my voice is too loud, it's the problem of whether your volume is too big or too small, or you're having headphones on. But that's my point of view, you know? Points of view is something I cherish quite a lot, and from Raya's point of view in this movie, it's definitely like she wants to believe in what her dad tells her. She wants to believe in what people tell her, but in the end, she decides she wants to take revenge for her father, knowing that the person that she tried to trust most backstabbed her, and everything she thought was true. And that's what kind of cracks me up, is that we can get so caught up in what we all think and be blinded by what we think is right, that we seldom ever think that other people's advice is maybe right as well. It's another part of having an ego as well, is that you want to protect your ego so much that even if you're right, or even if you're wrong, then you can't bring yourself to admit that you were wrong. That's very true for me as well, is that through school, through work, through my life, through my life, I've always cherished what little knowledge I thought was right, and what great storytelling I'm really good at. Sometimes I tend to over-exaggerate certain stories, and it may interest some people, it may not. It depends on how I say it, and it depends on where I'm saying it as well. Yeah, it's mainly those things that kind of keep me driving and stuff sometimes, is that I want so much to be right, but know that 90% of the time I'm not. And I guess it's through my other friends, through Christ, and through my family that I came to realize not knowing everything is not a terrible thing. But it's not the best feeling either. It's like a constant battle to some degree to see whether you decide to go, oh, I am right, or if I'm wrong. It's quite difficult to overcome feelings like this, but again, no one is asking you to overcome these feelings overnight. And having those feelings doesn't mean you're any less human than anyone else, That's what I also find about celebrities too, is that I've been watching movies, I've been listening to music for a very long time, and when actors and actresses and voice actors really put their all into a performance, but it's not enough and the director doesn't like it, I can only kind of imagine how much effort that person puts in, but it's not acknowledged, And as someone who wants to become a voice actor in the future, or someone who wants to start acting in the future, for me to step into that kind of entertainment sense is very, I wouldn't say it's very scary. It's a little terrifying, sure. It's a little bit too much for me to even picture if I was going to go viral or go famous or whatnot and people recognize me on the streets. I don't know. And that's kind of where Raya is as well, is that she's given kind of all this attention of needing to maybe fix the world or to turn a stone for some people. Everyone is divided in the land of Kumandra, and people assume, okay, I have a big chunk of the dragon gem, and that's all there is. There's nothing else that needs to be done or need to be said. But yeah, in the end of the movie, it was super nice to see that it wasn't something that only dragons could do. It was something that people could do as well. But it had to start with dragons because the magic was from dragons in the first place. And that's also a part where we kind of have to come together. That's what I think. And sure, it might be difficult for some people to understand, and sure, it might not be a concept that people want to understand because some people hold grudges, some people have negative emotions, and that's what every person has, is that they can either allow their positive or negative emotions to get the best of them, or decide, hey, I'm not always in control of everything. And that's ultimately what I think is struggling is what's part of being human. And struggling any less will, I guess, in the end, be what we all strive for, is to struggle less. We don't like struggling, as far as I know. But I can't speak for every human out there, and I can only speak for myself to some degree, just because, sure, I can listen to people's talk about their own lives, and sure, I can think of maybe possible solutions that they may not take, or they may just spread off, but what do I do about it? And that might sound very selfish, but thinking about myself every now and then is a good thing. I think everyone deserves to think about themselves, at least a little bit. Of course, constantly thinking about yourself may not be the best solution, but yeah, it's definitely something that I would highly suggest people do, is take the time to think about themselves. And especially during pandemic now, especially when people are kind of stuck at home. Some are working from home and some are just like unemployed or whatnot. It's definitely a good idea to think about yourself. And that's ultimately what I want to talk about in relation to my life in Raya and the Last Dragon. Other than Raya and the Last Dragon was an amazing movie, had to put it out there. But yeah, alright, so thank you guys for listening to another episode of podcast. I know last week was a little bit busy because, as mentioned, my sister is still in school and she is very, very busy, so I'm having my other friend edit and we'll see what he comes up with. But yeah, thanks again. If you liked what you listened to, be sure to subscribe. If you want to know when I post every single week, be sure to turn on that bell notification. And if you really, really enjoyed this video, that thumbs up would mean so much to me because actually part of my end goal is to start YouTubing full-time or maybe just become an actor full-time. It would be amazing if someone who just started off posting on YouTube became famous, but it happens every day. Who knows? But anyway, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys again next week. Alright, bye!